Hello everyone, right here I have an Aillio Bullet R2 or version 2. I've had this since 2019, 2020. This thing is a workhorse. This is my second roasting machine. I love working on it, but it's well overdue for maintenance, a cleaning. I would not advise you to let it go as long as I did, but every 25 roasts or batches, maybe just do a nice cleaning on it. You can take this off. I will get into this. There was an error code that I did have in the past that I fixed through a simple cleaning, and I was told I needed a motor, and I ended up buying the motor, and I had the motor, but now at least I have it. So some things that I would recommend: simple green, concentrated with a little bit of water, or just buying it already pre-mixed. Kafiza, tabs, this you're gonna use with hot water for your screen that's inside that collects the chaff, for the fan, and for this piece right here, which I don't remember the name of it, I apologize, but it will take all that old like soot that's on there right off. You need yourself some rags, some paper towels. I gotta scrub that. You get something that's not abrasive for the inside. Nobody's gonna see it, but just so you can scrub some parts that may need it. A lot of the stuff I get at Harbor Freight, like brushes, you know, a knife to scrape some stuff in my Allen key set, but the Aillio kit comes with a lot of tools to take the front out and a bucket to put hot water in for your fan and filter. So let's get to this. If you have one of these, I would recommend putting a keychain on it, a keychain ring. It's just easier to pop off. So you pop that. Here we go, you remove that. A lot of this is just caked on. It'll scrape off, but I'm gonna take the fan out and then spray this with the simple green. It's gonna sit for a while. I always take this part out first because with this, at least I can let it sit in the Kafiza or the tab solution. And after about 30 minutes, this stuff will come out pretty clear. You'll see a night and day difference. Aillio does recommend not to remove this piece right here. This is where the airflow happens. Unfortunately, one of the times that I cleaned it in the beginning, I yanked this out. So just get a pipe cleaner and hold it in there and just pull everything that's out there. But let's remove this. You'll see there is a small screw, Allen key screw. So we're gonna remove that. All right, so what I have right here is the other side of the back of the Aillio. This collects all the chaff. You should clear it out between roasts. But then when you're doing a cleaning, you definitely want to get in there and scrape whatever's stuck to the inside. You're gonna remove 6, they're kind of like fasteners. They're not hard to take off. You don't have to remove the little chute on the bottom, but this will take off this whole assembly. This filter, you kind of brushed it off already, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in the same solution as the fan, and this will sit in there while we clean the rest of this. I left the chaff from the other day. I roasted, and I didn't clear it out just because specifically I wanted to show all this, but this is just the kind of like the skin after the parchment that comes off the coffee. But as you can see, like all of this is caked on. So I want to do a heavy duty cleaning on it. This part of it, it's bad. It needs some heavy duty degreaser and some scrubbing, but I wanted to make sure that I had something that wasn't going to be too abrasive. All right, so what I have here is tabs. I will put a link below. I do use Kafiza every once in a while, but this is good for your espresso parts as well. I just found that it gives it a little boost on cleaning these pieces. So what I'll do is I'll drop 2 of the tabs in some hot water. I'll throw the little screws in there, our fan, and then our filter. It might have to go for 2 cleanings, but you can see instantly how like disgusting and dirty it is. So we're gonna let that sit. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna hit a little bit of air through here just to get whatever is back there to fall. I would recommend putting a rag, or I have a piece of cardboard underneath this whole chamber to spray this down because it's gonna leak. So you don't wanna like dirty any tables or anything like that, but we'll just hit it with some spray. So this will be good for just getting a lot of like the thick parts out. Okay, what I'm gonna do now, I got a lot of this out, is I'm gonna spray it down with our simple green mix. This will pretty much break off any of that like dried up grease or like soot. But like I said, have something underneath to kind of capture a lot of this. And then get your brush and kind of like work it in there. I'm just gonna take a rag, just kind of take a lot of like the solution out. For the hard to reach places or stuff that's like really stuck on there, I got yourself a pick set, Harbor Freight. Like I said, it's just cheap there. So this kind of like scrapes a lot of that stuff that's off in the back. So we'll take care of this. So as you can see, I got a majority of it off. There's still a little bit up here that's kind of hard to reach, but I typically start off with your plastic brush and then I'll give it like the brass, and when it comes to like stuff like this, I use a pin. But this is pretty much it as far as this. Now we'll go take a look at the fan and the filter. All right, as you can see, the water's all dirty and nasty, but that's the power of those tabs. They definitely break down a lot of that like hard soot that's on the filter. If you just take your finger, you can remove a lot of that. But and there you have it, good as new. Okay, so now we have a fan. See, I kind of took most of it off. There you have it. To get all technical with it, I'm just doing it because it needed a heavy duty clean. I wanted to show you that this stuff works. I don't know if you can really tell as much, but it was easier to get into the grooves and kind of scrape this off. And now I'll just hit it with the spray. You know, there's a little bit of stuff on there, but for the most part, it's better than what it looked like before. This is pretty simple to put together. As far as this, and I'm gonna give it a quick little wipe before I fully put it together. But with this, I just used the little pick that I had earlier. I sprayed the simple green, let it sit for a little bit, ran it through hot water, and I was able to scrape as much as I could, but way better than what it looked like before. All right, this, I have a spare. This is kind of old, so I'm gonna replace the new one. Now, as you can tell, this new one has more flexibility into it. It's kind of like starting to dry up. So we're gonna put this one on here. There we have it. And then we'll put our new filter. Make sure you push it in. That way it kind of like locks into place. You won't be really able to tell. I guess I'll show you on it. There's kind of like a little lip right here. That sets this filter in place, so make sure. So that way it's not just hanging out. There you go. So it's all set. It's underneath that lip on the grommet. And now we got a new seal cleaned back. Now with the exhaust assembly, you don't want to push it all the way back. You kind of want to bring it up just a little bit, so it's not necessarily flush, but close to being flush. to the motor pin, I guess you can say. And then we'll put this back in here. You want it to be able to spin freely. Well, let's get this first started, and then we'll push this back. There we go. So we'll see how this, because if it's too far back, it's gonna get tight and you don't want a restriction. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this part. I'm not gonna remove this right now, but I do wanna get to this part eventually. But I mainly wanna take this housing off. I usually just let it sit here on the fan. So you just want to have something that's going to brace it. Be careful with this wire. As you can see, like I was saying, this kind of like doesn't sit flush, so I have to fix it before I put it back together. I usually hit this with the spray, or excuse me, the air, just to kind of get what's in between. This needs a heavy duty cleaning. I don't have the alcohol, I left it at home, but with the Q-tip, you want to clean that little lens in there. That gives you like your reading for your like fan and everything. There is also a fan in this device behind it that you need to open it up. I will revisit this because in the past I had an error code, and Aillio and Sweet Maria were like, you need a new motor. And eventually it was deemed that I just needed to clean. There's an internal fan in here that is linked to this lens. So that's something you should be aware of. I haven't had the code, but if you clean that and you get this code, and I'll put it in the screen, but if you get that code, you clean this and you recalibrate it, it removes that error. All right, so if you own an Aillio bullet, you're gonna run into this problem. You're gonna have to take this housing off. If you get the error code 6864, know that it's this fan. So you got to remove the whole housing and take this apart. It will give you that code. There was a bean lodged in between that little housing and the fan, which there it is. You want to take, I have simple green, but you want to take some rubbing alcohol and then clean the lens, clean the fan. Use canned air to kind of clean any stuff out. But that should fix the 6864 code, and then if not, do a recalibration, because if you try to go on a whim, they're going to make you buy a motor and you don't need it. But don't forget to remove this while you're cleaning it. It's the piece that goes back here. It's easier to get to, and you don't have to try to scrape all that stuff out that's kind of caked on. So I keep spraying the simple green. I just add a little bit of hot water kind of just to break this up a little bit. But all it is just elbow grease and some time. All right, so I got this cleaned up as best as I could. It could be a little bit better, but I'm kind of limited on time right now. I don't want to keep like scraping, because also this is like rubber. But what you want to do is take a Q-tip. I just sprayed a little bit of the simple green, but I would recommend just regular alcohol, like rubbing alcohol. And there's a little lens in there. Just clean that off. Get all that like gunk that's in there, and then just wipe it down. So this is the bearing. It is my fault for not really taking good care of it or greasing it up throughout the years. So I'm gonna get another bearing with some food grade grease, but for now I'm just gonna take this little pin, scrape any residue, and just kind of clean it off and just put it on before I reassemble the whole machine. You don't want to tighten these all the way, so that way it's not flush on one side. You kind of just want to tighten them little by little so that way they can sit there, and then all together they'll be flush. So, and then like I said, just tighten it in the star pattern. I know I put this one here, but I don't want to tighten it. And then you just work your way around it. That way everything pretty much lines up. And there you go. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll guide you on, or help you as much as I can on dealing with this machine.